Good morning, and
Good morning.
thank you for taking my question. I appreciate it so much.
Mm.
I've been struggling with this question for some time now, and it's very pervasive. And I find myself in a somewhat stuck position, stuck experience of not being able to get out of that loop of of the trance of fear and doubt. And underneath that, there's this deep yearning to be able to return to the deep and fulfilling experience of oneness that I have experienced on this Sufi path for many years. And for the last couple of years, it hasn't been there. And so I'm still seeking.
I hear you. So I'm glad that your question was chosen and that you're here because it feels like you're asking the question that every one of us has about as we face the inevitable loss of this body mind. um, what is our true refuge? Like, what really can we um, trust in so that we can move through and keep waking up versus contract into a scared tight little being. And um, and what I'm hearing from you, Emil, is that through your decades, I'm imagining with Sufis, that you've touched refuge of oneness. Yeah.
Yeah,
Many times.
many times, not always when I would like to,
Hmm. Hmm.
but most deeply when I have been on long retreats, which we call zawiya in our path, um, anywhere between 7 and 14 days. And I sit for several days, and then I struggle very intensely, and then move through that to this place where I feel the oneness. I experience the oneness of myself with the divine and with all of nature that is around me. And that's the yearning that I want to return to and feel that I have lost that that capacity, and I don't have the strength now to sit for 7 to 14 days, to travel to the Zawiya several hundreds and hundreds of miles away to do this.
So, since your health has been declining, what have you found does help you to reconnect on some level?
Well, it seems like that the the things that I have done in the past to reconnect are really not working. One of the practices that I have done for a number of years, 8 or 10 years, is again it's a 7 day retreat which involves chanting the divine names and dancing. And I've been involved. We would do that from 10 in the morning till 10 at night for 7 days, and that will also was a wonderful experience. And I still have access to these folks through the Zoom. In fact, there'll be a meeting later this morning that I'm going to join. But it has dried up, and it's harder to make that connection. Sometimes very difficult to make the connection, or I don't make it. And underneath all of that is a lot of anger.
Yeah, so tell me more about that. Because I feel like you feel in some way your faith has been betrayed or disappointed in a very deep way.
Yes, I think that's really the heart of it. This is not working anymore. And the voice says, "Oh, it's not fair. Uh, I have tried so hard. I have worked so hard for so many years. And why is it that as I need this the most, it becomes more and more elusive?"
So okay doing a little practice going inward. if I just invite you to pay attention to your experience and just ask you questions, but you just keep your attention inward for a bit.
Sure.
And this is for anyone that feels like you've in some way lost faith in something, that and there's anger. Um, so for these moments now, Emil, just to uh, let yourself feel that part of you that is angry, disappointed that you work so hard, and sense what you're angry at, and sense the worst part of it. And let your attention be in your body so you sense, what feelings are in your body when you check in on this. And you can keep your attention inside and just name a little bit of what you notice when you let yourself feel that anger, that disappointment.
There's a sense of more of freeze than aliveness,
Yeah.
and so the anger is veiled by the freeze, and the freeze state goes back many years to an explosion in fire when I was 5, and so it's a PTSD reaction that has become more has returned to prominence in the past couple of years.
Okay. And assuming that, because I don't want to ask you to like go into the freeze reaction and what's behind it right now, because I don't want you to have to process trauma at a time you might not be able to. But let me ask you a different kind of question, which is if that kept happening and you kept either running into the freeze response or just feeling disconnected and knowing you're angry, and it just kept going on and your health kept declining, what would be the worst feeling in you about that? Like what's the worst thing that could happen if you just got caught feeling the freeze and the anger?
There's a sense that my life would not be fulfilled, and that I would possibly either end up in a state of non-existence or in a permanent state of freeze after death. I mean, all of that is a reflection of early Catholic upbringing, and it's just been reframed in a little bit more gentle way. Instead of hellfire, uh, it, it's non-existent.
Okay, so that's the fear that you're headed towards non-existence, freeze, the gentle version of hellfire. And does that bring up fear, or what does it bring up?
Well, right now, there's there's just not a whole lot of affect in
Right,
my experience.
right.
There's a frustration. I really would like to figure out a way to return to practice for the time that I have left that would be productive and um, yeah.
So let me ask you it from a different angle then. If you could say what you really care about, like you've said what you're afraid of, and it's not too affect filled, but that's the fear. What do you really long for?
I really long for that union with with the oneness of the divine. That's really what my heart yearns so deeply for that. That goes back to childhood as well.
So you can feel that yearning. And what lets you know the yearning is there? And take your time on that. Like what goes on inside you that really lets you know you have a yearning to to be at one with the divine.
I think it's the memory of how deep and exquisite those times have been when I have been able to move into that place of oneness. It's the memory of those places.
Right. So
No,
that's something that resonates as truly what is for you home in a way. It's like that's homecoming, or that's being where you belong. That's what your spirit wants.
yes.
So when it's happening, what's it like? Just tell me. And I know that, these are words, but just as best as you can, what's it like? And you can go inside to kind of recall the situation, and just anything you can name about it that lets me know, what is it like for you when you're feeling that oneness?
So I'm walking down a path, and every leaf and every rock and every bush is Allah, and I'm experiencing this exquisite sense of connection, which carries with it the deepest peace that I have ever experienced. And then sometimes I will be I will be sitting up on the meadow, and the sun will be going down, and the light will be so powerful that I can't keep my balance, and I fall over and have to get back up and right my chair and sit in it again. And it's all just a very wonderful connection with the divine.
So there's wonder and there's peace
Wonder, peace, and awe.
and awe.
Uh,
Beautiful.
It's so awesome that there are not words.
Yes. Yeah. And right this moment, what's it like to tell me?
I see the image in my mind of myself walking and falling over, and it's a good memory. The affect part of it is there's a shift towards it, but not really strong. Just a little tiny bit, movement in that direction.
Right.
Yes, that's right. I remember now.
It shows, though, because the past is not past. It's in our body, heart, mind, spirit. I'm not saying we always have access to the experience, but it's in you. And as you tell me, there's a transmission. And you know about transmission. You tell me, and the place in me that knows about wonder, awe, I can feel it. It's energetic. It's beautiful. And thank you for it, because I could feel the authenticity. It's still there, is what I'm trying to say, Emil. It's there. It's very powerful to start losing our health. It sets off organismic fear. And as you're saying, the organismic fear is tied in with trauma. And so it's tough. It feels imprisoning. But what you've touched is, it's not just a memory. It's an actual state of being that's in you that is available. And my best sense for you, if you want to have a way of practicing for the rest of your life, is to simply pray to remember what's here. But say what's here, not remember what was back then, because past, future, you just, as you were speaking, some of it was there. I could feel it. I know when that comes up in people. You've got that light. I mean, when you describe the light, you started radiating. You need to trust that. Trust that more than the stories that your fear mind puts out, okay? Try at least to trust that it's here more than the stories of fear, and pray for it. Okay? Does it resonate?
Very much so, yes.
You've got a beautiful spirit, dear. The years of practice are all in you. And this is what's tough. What you're going through, what we all go through in different ways. It's tough. But I
Yeah,
can see the light shining there.
yes. And I see the light shining back at me too.
Well, here we are, the divine experiencing a sense of wonder. It's pretty awesome.
Thank
Blessings.
thank you so much.
Blessings.